So the devil gets on Jesus' back with the questions, will you turn these stones into bread? Will you throw yourself off the parapet? Will you bow down and worship me? Baptism asks you and me really similar questions when you think about it. If you take the first one, will you turn the stones into bread? Baptism says, will you use your gifts for yourself, or will you use them for the service of the poor, the marginalized, the excluded, the common good, something other than yourself anyway? The second one, will you throw yourself off the parapet? No. How about this? Will you actually create a God that's so small that what that God does is kind of pull you out of trouble spots? Is that what you really believe? Or is God a God of real embrace that wraps God's arms around all of creation, holds it all in its triumph, in its tragedy, in its good and its bad? As Mary sang, he cast down the mighty from the throne, raises up the lowly. He fills the hungry with good things. The rich he sends away empty. He's got all of it in his embrace. And so if you're falling off a parapet, you may fall. And he loves you. And he holds you. But he doesn't always pull you out of it for some mysterious reason. I don't know why. But a God who's pictured as a God, if you throw yourself from a parapet, and just call on the angels and they'll take care of you. It's not the way the world works. It's not the world that God's holding. And sometimes the suffering that we have, the difficulty we have, just doesn't go away. But that doesn't mean that God isn't holding it in mystery. And then finally the third one. Third one's the kind of the toughest of all, What God do you bow down to in this world or inside of yourself? What have you put as the first place in your life, and how is it getting in the way of a real relationship with God? That's what baptism questions in all of us, and that's what Lent is about. If you're doing church right, it's a season when people who have not known Jesus are on the last part of their journey to say yes to baptism, confirmation, and Eucharist. And because of that, their presence questions all of us about our lives and our response to baptism. The practices for Lent, prayer, fasting, and almsgiving, aren't done just so we become better people, but so that we respond better to the call of our baptism. And so when something says to us, will you turn these stones into bread? We'll say, no, there's something better for my gifts to do. Will you throw yourself off the parapet and trust in the God who pulls you out of trouble? Well, I'll throw myself off the parapet if that's what I think needs to be done. And I'll trust that God holds me all the way down to whatever end. Will you bow down and worship me if I give you everything you want? No, I won't. There's one God and one God alone, and that God will I serve. That's the word of God for this first Sunday of Lent. It's not funny, but it is really, really powerful. See you next time.